The voicemail arrived at exactly 2:17 a.m. Emma Carter never answered unknown numbers, especially not after midnight. She let it ring, then silence. A few seconds later, her phone vibrated again. Not another call, a voicemail. She almost deleted it without listening, but something made her stop. She pressed play. At first, there was only static. Then, a little girl whispered, "Please, don't let him hear you." Emma sat upright in bed. The child sounded terrified, barely able to breathe. Then came another whisper. "If you're really Emma, you have to find me." The message ended. No name, no location, no explanation. Just one terrified voice calling a complete stranger. Emma wasn't a police officer. She wasn't a detective. She wasn't a lawyer. She was a licensed social worker in Minneapolis, Minnesota, specializing in child welfare and crisis intervention. Every week she received desperate calls from families in trouble. But this was different. The voicemail had not come through any official agency. It came directly to her personal phone, a number almost no one knew. She checked the caller ID. Blocked number. Duration, 19 seconds. She played it again and again. On the third listen, she noticed something strange. Very faintly, behind the girl's voice, a train horn echoed in the distance. Then, 3 metallic chimes. Emma paused the recording. She had heard those sounds before. She just couldn't remember where. The next morning, she reported the voicemail to the local police. The responding officer listened politely. He shrugged. "Probably a prank. Kids do this all the time." Emma wanted to believe him, but something in the child's voice refused to leave her mind. Fear like that couldn't be faked. That afternoon, Emma returned to the Child Protection Office. Her co-workers laughed over coffee, paperwork piled high across every desk. Life moved on, but Emma couldn't focus. She replayed the voicemail through her headphones, again and again. Then she heard something new. Just before the recording ended, a man spoke in the background. Only 4 words. "She's awake. Hurry up." Emma's stomach tightened. This wasn't a prank. Someone else had been in that room. Instead of going home, Emma drove across Minneapolis, searching for railroad crossings, listening, waiting, comparing every train horn with the recording. Hours passed. Nothing matched. As the sun disappeared, she almost gave up. Then, near an abandoned freight yard, the crossing bell rang. 3 metallic chimes, exactly the same rhythm. Emma slowly closed her eyes. This was the place, or somewhere nearby. Across the street stood an old brick warehouse. Its windows were boarded shut. No business signs, no lights. Only one pickup truck parked outside. The engine was still warm. Emma reached for her phone. She should have called the police immediately. Instead, she took one cautious step closer, then another. From somewhere inside the building, she heard it. A child crying, very softly. Emma's heart pounded. She wasn't trained for this. She wasn't armed. She was completely alone. But if she walked away, how long would that little girl have left? Emma took a deep breath and quietly reached for the warehouse door. Emma's hand rested on the cold metal handle. She listened again. A faint cry. Then, silence. Every instinct told her to step back, call the police, wait for backup, but every second mattered. She slowly pushed the warehouse door open. It creaked loudly through the empty building. Dust floated through the flashlight beam from her phone. Broken machinery, rusted shelves, old wooden crates. Everything looked abandoned, until she noticed small, muddy footprints. Fresh, much too small to belong to an adult. Emma followed them. Each step made her heart beat faster. Then, she heard it again. A tiny cough, coming from somewhere below. She searched the floor. Near a stack of old pallets, she noticed a heavy steel hatch, almost hidden beneath torn plastic sheets. It was locked. Emma knelt down. "Hello? My name is Emma. If someone is down there, you don't have to be afraid." For several seconds, nothing. Then, 3 soft knocks answered from below. Emma's breath caught. Someone really was inside. She grabbed an old iron bar lying nearby and forced it beneath the padlock. The rusty lock snapped open. Slowly, she lifted the hatch. A cold, damp smell rushed upward. Dark concrete stairs disappeared underground. Emma switched on her flashlight. "Stay where you are," she whispered to herself. Halfway down, she heard a frightened voice. "Are you really Emma?" Emma froze. "Yes." "How do you know my name?" The little girl stepped into the light. She couldn't have been older than 8, thin, dirty, wearing an oversized hoodie. She clutched a worn, stuffed rabbit. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "My mommy said, if anything happened, I had to find Emma Carter." Emma felt her knees weaken. "Your mother knew me?" The girl nodded. "Her name was Sarah." Emma's face turned pale. Sarah Mitchell. 7 years earlier, Emma had worked tirelessly to help Sarah escape an abusive partner. Just days before a court hearing, Sarah disappeared. Police believed she had run away. The case was quietly closed. Emma never believed it. "You remember my mommy?" the little girl whispered. Emma nodded slowly. "I never stopped looking for her." The child reached into her pocket. She pulled out a faded photograph. It showed Sarah standing beside Emma outside a family support center. On the back, Sarah had written in blue ink, "If I can't protect my daughter, Emma will." Emma could barely breathe. She had never known Sarah carried that photograph. Before Emma could say another word, headlights suddenly swept across the warehouse windows. A truck had arrived. The little girl's face drained of color. "He's back." Emma immediately switched off her flashlight. Heavy footsteps echoed above them. A truck door slammed shut. Then another. At least 2 men. Emma quietly locked eyes with the little girl. Neither of them spoke. Above their heads, someone slowly dragged something heavy across the warehouse floor. Then, a man's voice echoed through the darkness. "I know someone's here." Silence. Emma held the little girl's trembling hand. She understood one terrifying truth. Walking into the warehouse had been the easy part. Getting out alive would be almost impossible. Emma barely dared to breathe. Above them, footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, the steel hatch handle rattled once. Someone was testing it. The little girl gripped Emma's hand so tightly it hurt. Neither of them moved. Several long seconds passed. Finally, the footsteps drifted away. Emma whispered, "Is there another way out?" The girl nodded, very slowly. She pointed toward the back of the underground shelter. Hidden behind broken shelves was a narrow concrete tunnel. "It goes outside," the girl whispered. "My mommy showed me." Emma's heart skipped. Sarah had known. She had prepared for the day someone might escape. The tunnel was barely large enough to crawl through. Concrete scraped their arms. The air smelled of damp earth. Behind them, a loud metallic crash echoed through the bunker. The hatch had been forced open. "They're down here!" a man shouted. Emma pushed the little girl forward. "Keep crawling. Don't stop." Flashlight beams swept through the shelter behind them. The men had found the bunker. The tunnel ended beneath thick brush near an abandoned railroad embankment. Fresh air, moonlight. For one brief second, Emma believed they had made it. Then, headlights flooded the trees. The black pickup truck blocked the dirt road ahead. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders, holding a flashlight. He smiled. "I knew you'd find the tunnel." Emma recognized him immediately. David Mercer, the owner of the warehouse, a respected local businessman, the same man who had donated thousands of dollars every year to children's charities. The same man whose smiling face appeared in newspaper photographs. No one would ever suspect him. Emma quietly stepped in front of the little girl. "You don't want witnesses," she said. David laughed. "No, I don't." He took another step closer, then another. Emma's phone vibrated inside her jacket. She hadn't forgotten. Earlier that evening, before entering the warehouse, she had activated the emergency safety app used by every child protection investigator. If the user failed to check in within 2 hours, the phone automatically transmitted GPS coordinates and sent an emergency alert. Emma had almost forgotten it was running. David heard the vibration. His smile disappeared. He lunged toward Emma. She threw the phone deep into the bushes. David chased after it. Those 3 seconds were enough. Emma grabbed the little girl's hand. "Run!" They sprinted across the abandoned rail yard. David followed. Closer, closer. Then, the sound everyone had been waiting for filled the night sky. Helicopter blades, red and blue lights flashed through the darkness. Police vehicles raced onto the dirt road from both directions. David stopped running. For the first time, fear appeared on his face. The investigation lasted months. Inside the warehouse, detectives discovered hidden rooms, false walls, and years of evidence. The names of several missing women and children were finally connected. Sarah Mitchell's case was reopened. Her remains were found beneath the concrete floor of another abandoned property. Her family finally received the answers they had waited almost a decade to hear. The little girl, whose real name was Lily Mitchell, was placed with loving relatives. She would never have to hide again. 6 months later, Emma returned to work. Not in silence, but with purpose. She began training new social workers, teaching them one lesson she would never forget. Never ignore the call that doesn't make sense. Sometimes, the smallest voice is the one that needs you the most. One autumn afternoon, Emma received a letter. Inside was a simple drawing, a little girl holding the hand of a smiling woman beneath a bright blue sky. At the bottom, written in careful handwriting, were 6 words. "You answered when nobody else did." Emma smiled through tears. She carefully folded the drawing and placed it inside her desk drawer. The same drawer where she now kept every reminder that even the quietest act of courage could change a life forever. Some cries for help are almost impossible to hear. The people who need us most don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper. And sometimes the courage to listen is what saves a life.